Commander Sarah Chen had seen many wonders in her 20-year career with the Dimensional Research Initiative, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. Standing in the crystalline chamber of the interdimensional gateway, she watched as the portal's surface rippled like disturbed water, revealing glimpses of another Earth beyond. "Readings are stable," reported Dr. Marcus Webb, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "The dimensional barrier is holding at optimal frequency. We're looking at Earth 447, confirmed parallel development track." Sarah nodded, her jaw set with determination. After 6 failed attempts to contact alternate versions of humanity, this was their breakthrough. The other attempts had yielded empty worlds, post-apocalyptic wastelands or worse, realities where humanity had never evolved at all. "Remember," she addressed her 5-person team, "we're ambassadors first, scientists second. Whatever we find on the other side, we represent our entire species." The portal solidified with a harmonic hum that seemed to resonate in their bones. Through the translucent barrier, they could see a world that looked remarkably similar to their own. Blue skies, green forests, even what appeared to be a city in the distance. But something felt different, though Sarah couldn't quite identify what. Dr. Elena Vasquez stepped forward, her xenobiology scanner in hand. "Atmospheric composition matches ours within acceptable parameters. No obvious pathogens detected. We're clear for contact." As they stepped through the portal, Sarah felt the familiar tingle of dimensional translation, like walking through a soap bubble made of static electricity. The sensation faded quickly, replaced by the warmth of natural sunlight and the scent of unfamiliar flowers. They emerged in what appeared to be a vast meadow, but as Sarah's eyes adjusted, she realized they stood in the center of a carefully cultivated garden. The plants around them were recognizable yet subtly different. Roses that glowed with bioluminescent veins, trees whose leaves shifted color with the breeze, grass that seemed to hum with barely audible music. "Fascinating," breathed Dr. Vasquez. "The flora shows signs of deliberate genetic modification, but with techniques I've never seen before. It's as if they've learned to work with DNA like artists work with clay." A soft chiming sound made them all turn. Approaching from the tree line were 3 figures, unmistakably human in basic form but possessing an otherworldly grace. They moved with fluid precision, their skin bearing intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow like living tattoos. Their eyes held depths of wisdom that spoke of centuries of experience. The lead figure, a woman with silver hair that moved as if underwater, raised her hand in what was clearly a gesture of greeting. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that made the words feel like music. "Welcome, travelers from the parallel stream," she said in perfect English, though her accent carried notes Sarah had never heard before. "I am Keeper Lyrelei of the Synthesis Council. We have been expecting you." Sarah stepped forward, fighting the urge to gawk. "I'm Commander Sarah Chen of Earth's Dimensional Research Initiative. How did you know we were coming?" Lyrelei's expression was serene. "We felt the dimensional resonance of your attempts to contact other realities. Your species has a distinctive signature, determined, persistent, refusing to accept limitations." She paused, studying Sarah with eyes that seemed to see beyond the surface. "We are curious about the path your humanity has taken." Dr. Webb cleared his throat nervously. "What do you mean by our path?" "Each iteration of humanity faces the same fundamental choices," explained another of the beings, a tall man whose skin bore patterns reminiscent of circuit boards. "How to balance individual drive with collective harmony, how to handle the power that comes with intelligence, whether to conquer or to synthesize. Your people chose conquest," Lyrelei said, though without judgment. "You built machines to extend your reach, weapons to overcome obstacles, ships to claim the stars. A valid path, and one that has clearly brought you great achievements." Sarah felt a flicker of defensiveness. "And what path did your people choose?" "Integration," Lyrelei replied simply. "Rather than build tools separate from ourselves, we learned to become the tools. Instead of conquering nature, we merged with it. Where you reached outward to the stars, we reached inward to the quantum foundations of reality itself." The third being, who had remained silent, stepped forward. As it moved, Sarah realized its form was slightly translucent, as if it existed only partially in their dimension. "Both paths have their strengths," it said in a voice like wind chimes, "but also their blindnesses. Your people have learned to survive in any environment through adaptation and stubbornness. You create solutions through force of will and ingenuity. While we, continued Lorelei, have learned to exist in harmony with the fundamental forces of existence. We shape reality through understanding rather than opposition. Dr. Vasquez lowered her scanner, her scientific mind clearly racing. Are you saying you've transcended physical limitations entirely? Not transcended, the circuit-skinned man corrected. Integrated. We still face challenges, still suffer loss, still struggle with the great questions of existence. But we approach these problems differently than your people do. Sarah watched the exchange with growing amazement. These weren't the conquered or conquering humans she had imagined finding. They were something entirely new, humanity that had evolved along a completely different philosophical axis. What challenges do you face? She asked. For the first time, Lorelei's serene expression showed a crack of concern, the same ones that all conscious beings eventually encounter. The heat death of the universe, the question of whether consciousness has ultimate meaning, the possibility that even our enhanced understanding is just a more sophisticated form of ignorance. But, added the translucent being with something that might have been a smile, we face them together, as a species that has learned to truly see itself as one organism. Your people face them as individuals who must constantly choose between self-interest and collective good. Sarah felt a strange mix of pride and humility. Both approaches have gotten us this far. Indeed, Lorelei agreed, and perhaps that is the point. The universe is vast enough for multiple solutions to the problem of existence. Your people's relentless drive to overcome obstacles through external means has brought you to our doorstep. Our integration with the deeper patterns of reality allowed us to recognize your approach and respect its validity. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in colors that seemed more vivid than any Sarah had seen on her own world, she realized that this encounter would change everything, not because they had found superior or inferior humans, but because they had found proof that humanity's potential was far greater than any single world could imagine. Would you be willing to share knowledge? She asked. Not to change our fundamental approaches, but to understand them better. Lorelei's patterns shifted to what Sarah somehow knew represented joy. That, Commander Chen, is perhaps the most human question of all, regardless of which path we've taken. Yes, we would be honored to share what we've learned, and to learn from what you've discovered. As the portal home shimmered behind them, Sarah smiled. Humanity, it seemed, was even more amazing than she had dared to hope.